Lake Gaston recap. I was super excited going into this TOC Tournament of Champions, Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing. This was actually my second year in a row being able to make it into the championship. I was super pumped for the tournament. About a week before the tournament, I started looking at the weather though, and the weather was looking kind of yucky. I mean, very cold, windy, and possibly a chance of rain. I had my plan going into the tournament. I don't want to butcher up the name too bad, but my boat ramp that I picked, it was called a Henrico boat ramp. It was pretty much out on the main lake. My whole plan was to hit 3 different sections. I was going to actually pick a section depending on who was at the boat ramp, and I ended up crossing the lake going south, going on the south end of the lake on the other side because I launched from the north side. I knew the wind was going to be picking up, and I figured the bait was going to be getting pushed in on the south end, and that's why I picked that spot. But also I picked that spot is because I don't really like to fish on top of people. I mean, we had about 6 or 7 guys at the ramp, and a few guys went right to an area. I was going to go to this creek to the right, and a few guys went that way, and then a couple guys went left, and I just figured I'd go straight across the lake. My whole plan when I got there, you know, with lines in, was to try to fish the points, kind of fish some the deeper ends of the docks, and there was a lot of grass patches on this lake too. There was a little bit of grass here and there, and my plan was to kind of, you know, flip a shaky head up in there and stuff. And it didn't really go as planned early in the morning because I was thinking I could kind of get behind that point where it wasn't as windy and I could probably pick a couple off on top water. It didn't happen. Kind of kept moving down the bank, kind of fishing docks. I was switching between a crankbait and like a jig and a shaky head because I realized that the top water wasn't even going to happen. I had these 2 laydowns in front of me, and I figured that, you know, that's a prime target for a bass to sit on. So I went straight to the laydowns, and I was throwing a jig up in there. I finally got my first fish. Check it out. So he wasn't a giant. I mean, he was 15 inches, but with it being a couple hours in and not a bite, and I finally got that bite, that kind of gave me a clue. I started thinking to myself, maybe I need to go find some laydowns, which that was the only 2 laydowns in that whole creek area. So the wind was pumping, and I just kept covering water. I was throwing an A-rig around like some points where some riprap was. No luck there either. Just kept on kind of moving down the bank and hopefully trying to make something happen. It ended up not happening. Lunchtime came around. I realized I made a bad decision of where I even went at to fish. That's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, sometimes you just pick a bad area. The wind picked up even more. I mean, it got to the point where it was just aggravating to even fish. I guess when you done wasted so much time in a tournament, I mean, I've done wasted about 4.5, 5 hours at this point. I was already kind of aggravated, and what really made me kind of aggravated was the fact that when I looked on Tourney X, everybody was catching them, literally except me and maybe a couple other guys. And I knew right off gate I was just completely doing something wrong. So with it being a 2-day event, day 1 was a completely bust. I mean, it was actually hard for me to even. It was tough. It was tough to even realize how bad of damage I did on the first day because I only caught 1 keeper, and it was just tough. I mean, it was cold all day, and I just felt like I just completely blew it, which I did. So I had another day to fish because it was a 2-day event, and I told myself I was going to launch at the same ramp, but I was going to stay on the north side of the lake instead of crossing to the south side of the lake. And I was, at that point, I didn't have nothing to lose. I was actually just going to go fish to figure out, to see what I did wrong, really. I mean, that was my whole plan, because I knew I wasn't going to dig myself out of the hole that I already did, made. So I kind of started off with a DT6. That's one of my favorite crankbaits for covering water, especially in the fall and early winter. I love a DT6. I started kind of just throwing, just covering water. I was going into these little pockets and caught a couple of fish pretty quick. Check it out. So with a couple of quick bites early in the morning, I had 2 fish pretty fast. I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll be able to pull out a limit by running around throwing this DT6. A few hours went by, not one bite on the crankbait. I covered a ton of water with the DT6, and then I kind of backed off as the sun came up because the second day was going to be a little bit warmer. Not that much warmer though, but just a little bit warmer. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll kind of back off a little bit and throw like a chatterbait and like an A-rig and see if I can get bit, and a shaky head and everything else, because I was just mixing around. I was mixing it up, really, just trying to see what I could get bit on. Kept covering water, and then I made it up to this point, and I finally got my 3rd fish on a shaky head right on this point where this deep riprap was. After when I done threw an A-rig, because I was throwing an A-rig on this point for like 20-30 minutes, thinking that I'll catch some fish that are either coming up or coming out of the creek or going into the creek. No luck. So ended up throwing a shaky head. Y'all hear that goat? My neighbor's got goats. But ended up catching one on a shaky head. Check this out. So at this point, I got my 3rd fish, and I was thinking to myself, I got plenty of time to catch a 4th fish and get my limit. I mean, once again, it wasn't going to help me, doing good in the tournament, because I already blew it for the first day. But I was just kind of determined to kind of figure out what I was doing wrong. So I kept covering some water. And then I noticed about a few hours in, when it started warming up, I realized that I should have been hitting some more grass areas with grass patches, little areas where there was grass at. And because I was getting bit in the grass, but I was having to kind of throw it up in there a little bit. And I noticed that I missed a few fish in the grass because of not paying attention, throwing a shaky head up in there into the grass. And then I was thinking to myself, I could probably pick one off, into the grass the last few hours. It didn't go good. So yeah, that's something I wish I would have kind of focused more on, was fishing areas where the grass was, because I feel like the fish were in there. I didn't really focus in on the grass a whole lot. I was thinking points, deeper docks and stuff like that, and I completely missed the whole idea of there being some fish in the grass still. I was kind of worried that the bass wasn't going to hold into the grass with it kind of dying off. But there was bass in the grass. So it warmed up, and I was just covering water. I was at that point with it being a little warm, I was throwing a wacky rig around, and about an hour left into the day, I got a bite on this dock. Check this out. Oh my gosh. So I got a bite on this dock, missed this fish. I mean, he wasn't a big one. He was probably between 12 and 14 inch range, because I kind of seen him come out the water. And at that point, I was just done for the day. So guys, that's my recap of Lake Gaston. It's a beautiful lake. I really think it has potential. I think it would be a great lake to go fish around the springtime, April, May time, because you got grass, you got riprap. I mean, you got everything. I just think that I didn't really approach that lake the right way. Congrats to the winners as well, Matt Hodge and Joey Randall. They were on the fish all weekend. Congrats to them. And it was just a great experience getting out onto a lake that I've never fished before and try to figure it out, which I didn't really do good at figuring it out. But it was I had a lot of fun, and I was just, you know, glad to be up there fishing with all the great anglers in the TOC. You got to live and learn in these tournaments. Whenever you're not doing good, you need to figure out, kind of learn something from it of why you wasn't doing good. I think it's always something. I think that's the positive part of it, is kind of learning what you did wrong, and that way in the future you'll be able to correct yourself in that type of situation again. I had an awesome time. The season's over for the year. Plan on doing a lot of fun fishing these next few months, and I got some other videos coming up soon about a couple walkthroughs on my boat that I'm doing some stuff too, so keep an eye on that. But guys, thanks for watching. I've had an awesome year, and I just appreciate each and every one of you that's watches my channel. Truly appreciate it, and we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep it rolling on into 2022. Guys, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Y'all have a super awesome day. See you on the next fishing adventure.